I'm Minesh Baxi here, and some of you have been watching the show before, and I always bring interesting guests, people who have experience in their life that they want to share with other people. And I can promise you, Mike Gruley today, who I have here as a guest, has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of information for people who are in business and are looking to break out. So, Mike, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here, Minesh. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And I know you've been in business for a long time, and now you are somebody who is actually helping people, business people, grow to the next level. Is that correct, if I should say that way?
That is correct, yes. I've been a business owner for my whole adult life. I'm 57 years old. I've been in Michigan my whole career, and I've had a number of businesses, and I really have a fire in my belly for entrepreneurs and helping them.
Exactly. And I think there are very few people who can relate to that if they haven't actually broken out and started their own, had some level of success, because they don't really understand what it takes to be taking that risk, taking that chance, putting things on the line. Because I remember in my journey, I was a computer programmer, decided to become a speaker, author, and a business coach. It was not easy, not fun at some points, but at least I enjoyed it. And I think that's really the key. Would you say that's the truth?
It absolutely is. It's a major leap to decide to open a business. It's such a brave thing to do, you know?
Yes.
And you don't often, when you start your first business, you don't often get a whole lot of support.
Correct.
So you have to be really strong. And so I really admire that. And I came from an entrepreneurial family. So my 5 siblings and I, we worked in the family business through high school and college. And I was the one that really got a fire in my belly for being an entrepreneur. I couldn't do it any other way. And so I started several businesses. Some did better than others, but I did have one for about 20 years. We were a nationally ranked company, and I eventually sold it. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. But, you know, going through all those struggles that I went through, and some of them were just really tough, and not everything is success, I really have so much empathy for those folks that are going through that now. So I just love what I do. I get to help people with the things that really I needed help with years ago. And eventually got, by the way.
Well, exactly. And I think you are a good example of somebody who used the system, and now you're promoting that system. Because I think what happens, there is obviously stage 1 business, which means they barely get off the ground, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Now, we are talking about businesses which did get off the ground, so they're having what you would call growing pains.
Yes.
And they have their own awareness to some degree of their problems, but because they're so close to the situation, they don't really know and understand fully well. And that's where you talk about the entrepreneurial operating system. And Gino Wickman wrote the book Traction, which has the fundamentals located in it. So when people are struggling, they're failing to grow the way they wanted to grow, and obviously they need some help at that time, where do you see EOS or entrepreneurial operating system helping people in scaling their business?
Well, you know, all businesses, and I say all, 100% of them, always start off great, and as they succeed, they hit a ceiling.
Yes.
And you can't pedal any faster, and so they need something to break them through that. And years ago, someone shared with me the book Traction, Gino's book Traction, and I read it and I thought, boy, someone wrote a book about me. I'm so unique, you know, and I'm unique just like everybody else.
Correct.
And so it helped me break through. But basically, what I do as an EOS implementer is implement this business operating system of EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. I help people by helping them implement a complete proven process. It has very simple and practical tools to help them get 3 things I call vision, traction, and healthy. And vision just from the standpoint of getting the leadership team 100% on board with where the organization's going, how they're going to get there. Traction, instilling discipline and accountability in that leadership team so they're executing on that vision every day. And then healthy is just from a standpoint of, you know, you get some good leaders on a team and they sometimes don't always work great as a team. So you want to get them to be cohesive, functional, open and honest, doing what's best for the organization. And as goes that leadership team with their vision, traction, and healthy, so goes the rest of the organization, to the point where everyone in the organization sees the vision, working on it every day with discipline and accountability, and doing it in a healthy environment.
Exactly. I know I'm a big fan of Patrick Lencioni, so who wrote 5 Dysfunctions of a Team,
So
The
am
Advantage, and Gino has incorporated a few of those ideas. I know he knows him personally as well. So let's talk about a business which has reached a point where, hey, I'm doing okay, but I'm now struggling to reach the next level. Where would you start with an organization like that?
So they're not struggling yet?
Well, they are struggling, but they're not at the level that they want to be at.
Gotcha. Because that's typically what we see. We'll say, hey, everything's fine, everything's great. People are lined up outside the door, hiring people like crazy. And as we all know, as you add all that new human energy, things are getting chaotic. And usually where it starts to affect the business owners is they're just not getting what they want. Now, some of them want growth.
Correct.
Some of them want more profit.
Mm-hmm.
Others may have growth and profit, but they just want to get some of their life back because they just can't pedal any faster, as I mentioned, and it's just getting crazy. And while they're doing all that, working 12 hours a day, or as I say, cleaning the kitchen floor with a toothbrush, they realize they've stalled. They're not getting anywhere. And so what we want to do is we want to come in and help them strengthen what we call the 6 key components of their organization, which are vision, people, data, solving problems, processes, and then the last one is just traction, getting them on a cadence of meetings and goal setting so that they actually execute on the vision they have. Because having a vision without any traction is just hallucination.
Exactly, and I think the book Rocket Fuel talks about having an integrator with you.
Oh, yeah.
But some people may not be at a point that they can bring in an integrator either. And they might have to have a little bit of understanding for themselves as well. But the key component, I think, which I like about the traction and the process itself is that it's simple enough for any business to learn and implement. Obviously, it takes effort, but it is simple. Would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely, because those that know me well know that I couldn't do anything that wasn't simple. So I think that's one of the things that really appealed to me when I used EOS in my businesses, because as Gino would say, there's not an ounce of theory in EOS. It's really just an execution model for all the best theories that are out there. And I think so often we bring a flavor of the month into our organizations. It keeps changing. We don't have anything that's cohesive and functional that we use every day to get some discipline. And this one is very simple. It is very, very simple. It's easy to follow. And I just fell in love with it. And that's why after I retired from my previous career, I went into being an EOS implementer because I know what it did for us. I just want to share that with other people. And I love working with my clients to help them get that traction that I got from somebody else.
And I think that's the key, because what you mentioned just now is these people are good people. They're working hard and they want to reach whatever the next level for them is and get the business to provide what they were looking for. But they don't really themselves know what is the next step to take. And somebody from outside can provide that perspective like you do.
Absolutely. One of the things I find too is most businesses start not because they're business people. They start because they're great tacticians. They're really good at something. And to their good fortune, they become successful, but they don't know how the business should run. That's not what they were really good at. And they can get good at it, but they just never spent time on it. And so I usually tell people, congratulations, you're a success, you have chaos. So what we really want to do is try to just get them to think about their business in a different way. Get them to look at their business from the outside and work on their business instead of always in it. And then the other thing, too, is the people that start businesses are usually very visionary. Now, you mentioned Rocket Fuel, which was a book Gino wrote about the difference between a visionary and an integrator. Visionaries are idea people. They're the kinds of people that generally start businesses, but they're not always the types of people that can stay focused long enough to run the business. And so they need some corralling, I guess you could say, at the beginning until they reach a point where they can break through that barrier and then hire someone that can make the trains run on time every day and harmoniously coordinate all those moving parts so that they could be this great visionary that they are to go to the next idea that's going to take them to the next level.
And I think that's definitely true about that as well. So let's talk about a couple of tips from traction or the implementation process. What are some of the key things that you feel people would benefit from listening, watching us today, even if they haven't really fully read the book or haven't really started doing the implementation through EOS?
Well, the nice part about EOS is it has so many simple tools that touch upon a lot of different areas, those 6 key components I mentioned. A lot of companies have issues with people, getting the right culture. I happen to believe I kind of be the person that really believes that culture is so important. I know it sounds kumbaya-ish and all that. Very, very important. And there's There's a tool in EOS, for example, called the People Analyzer. It is so simple.
Yeah, GWC would be a
GWC gets
yes.
it, wants it, capacity to do it. So it's just a simple method by way you can measure the people you have on your team to make sure that we're all on the same page. We all have the same company culture, the same goals we're aiming for, the same passions, and we also are really good at doing our jobs too.
Yes.
So it's the right people, right seats, which is from Jim Collins, good
yes.
to great. And Gino has taken the good to great, right people, right seats,
Correct.
and actually given us a very simple tool
yes.
to be able to make it happen. Because we all can read a book and say, wow, that's a great idea, but how do I get there?
Correct.
And Gino has taken all these great ideas and said, here's how you can get there.
And I think that's the part. And again, the questions are very simple. Does the employee get what the role is? Does the person really want the role? And do they have the capacity to fulfill that role, right? I mean, those are the three simple questions you can ask, and you would find out whether the employee does fit the situation that they are in as well. And I think that's definitely a big positive as well. I love the way the Vision Traction organizer is there as well, a simple 2-page plan, which makes all your business appear in like a simple way for you to look at, to see your core values, to see your 10-year goal, 3-year goals, and so on and so forth. And tell me a quick success story, either from your past experience of applying this information or maybe somebody that you've been helping.
I have, it's funny. You ask is there a unique story? And the funny thing is that they all start to look the same after a while, because no matter whether you're selling ice cream cones or widgets or guitar strings, the problems always seem the same. But I think of a client that had a lot of chaos with their leadership team. They weren't on the same page. I could have asked every one of them, what's your vision? And they'd all have one, but they were all different, So they're all different. So I'm thinking, how are you communicating to all the 100 people in your company? I mean, if they talk to Minesh, they get one idea. They talk to Mike, they get another. Very confusing. So the success story is when we get them to actually sit in a room away from the phones, away from the office, and really look at their business, see where they want to go, how they want to get there, what drives their passions, what's their reason for being. And when they get on the same page, I have to tell you, it's sort of just, it's organic from there. It oozes out to not only their organization, but outside the company walls. And now they start attracting the people that want to be part of it, and probably without them knowing, repelling the people that don't want to be part of it. And that's great for both. And you do your employees and your team members a favor and a service by making things clear, because now I know if I want to be part of this or not. And it's great for the company and the organization. It's great for the people, and everyone gets something out of it. And it's really just simple sitting down, coming up with the ideas and thoughts, and then communicating it.
Well, I think all of that sounds good. So who would be a good candidate for somebody who can benefit from your information? Because obviously it's not going to be the Fortune 500 as an example, right? You know what I'm saying? So who are some of the demographics of the size, et cetera, that you would say could benefit from, somebody like you who's an EOS implementer?
The sweet spot for EOS, we can do companies of all sizes, but the sweet spot's generally about 10 to 250 employees, privately owned, so there's business owners involved. Those owners are growth oriented. And typically they're a little frustrated because they can't get where they want to go, like we said. But here's the key. They have to be vulnerable. They have to be open and honest. They have to be the kinds of people that can say, you know what, we're really good at making widgets. We've got great people. We've got great stuff. But somehow we're missing something, and I need help. And I know this as being a person that fought it for years and then finally realized I need help and got help, and it made all the difference. And when you really look at successful business people, even at the biggest companies, they're the ones that are willing to say, you know what, we're really good at what we do, but we have some spots we need help on. Everyone, even Tiger Woods needs a coach, as my friend Tim Hartford once said. Some of the greatest athletes all have coaches, someone to guide them, to give them some perspective from the outside, like you mentioned. It could be a simple little thing that changed their whole course of action. So,
wow, that's amazing. And I know a lot of people who are watching this should definitely get hold of Traction. And Mike, how do people get hold of you?
They can contact me by calling 248-761-4401. Then go to my website at www.onevisionadvisors.com.
Very fantastic. Well, thanks again for educating our audience on how they can actually, if they are a business person who is struggling, growing to the next level, that there is a process, there is a system, and there is help available, so they don't have to be frustrated and they can go where they want to go. Thanks, Mike, for coming.
Thanks for having me on, Minesh.
Thanks for watching.